This is the RSN Sports Network. 2020 Sports Update. This 2020 Sports Update brought to you by Boost Mobile. Boost Mobile, where you at? I'm Michael Lewis. It is day 2 of the NFL Wild Card Weekend. In the first game, Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are taking it to the Philadelphia Eagles right now. Brady 2 touchdown passes. The Buccaneers leading the Eagles 17-0 with 12:22 in the third. Later on this afternoon, a rivalry renewed in Arlington as the 49ers take on the Cowboys in that game. And later on tonight, the Steelers and the Chiefs. Sources from ESPN's Adam Wojciechowski says that star forward Kevin Durant will miss 4 to 6 weeks. And Magic is ripping the Lakers. Magic Johnson said in a Twitter feed last night after their loss to Denver, hey, Magic's words, we are horrible. And also, the Eagles' Devontae Sweat has been taken out of the game because of a life-threatening issue. The Raiders are backing up Nick Biscaccia after last night's loss. That's your 2020 Sports Update. I'm Michael Lewis. This is the RZ Sports Network, RTV Television. Remembering Dr. King.
Children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual. Free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty. We are free at last.
Remembering Dr. King. The following is an RSN Sports Network presentation. This is the RSN Sports Network. This is RTV Television. You are listening to The Street Mental on the RSN Sports Network with Rihanna Henderson. Get it and talk now at 1-800-337-7171 or 1-713-320-1650 or 1-713-534-4231. When we return, we'll have Rihanna Henderson. This is the RSN Sports Network.
One Hot and Ready Classic. We actually changed it with...
What? You changed, Little Caesars? You've changed! They've changed, Balloon Bro! Changed, Karate Man! How can you dance during a time like this? You've changed! Tell me why.
It tastes even better because we added 33% more pepperoni.
Give me one of those.
Walk in and walk out with the new Hot and Ready Classic with 33% more pepperoni. Pizza.
This is the RSN Sports Network.
When you need a fresh start.
It's getting things in order that counts.
When you've got your work cut out for you.
It's having a bright outlook that counts.
When you need a clean slate and space to call your own.
It's seeing things clearly that counts.
When things don't seem to be going your way.
It's the little things that count.
When you're ready to take the next step and things are finally falling into place.
It's knowing you have peace of mind that counts.
Now that you have a handle on things.
It's being in good hands that counts. At CubeSmart Self-Storage,
it's what's inside that counts.
I photographed fruit and in New York, in Philadelphia, in Paris. DocuSign makes it easier for me to do business. When I think of work, I think of being invested in telling a story. Being a small business owner means I'm the CEO, accounting department, the CFO, the head of sales. No one gets into photography because they like contracts. DocuSign lets me take care of the business side much faster. I can get release forms, master service agreements, all sorts of contracts taken care of wherever I am, whenever I want. It's easy to prepare agreements, get them signed, and even get paid. It's foolproof. There's no missing information when I get the signed agreement back. It streamlines business processes that used to take a long time in the past. It's also easier for my clients. DocuSign guides them through the agreement. With DocuSign on my phone or my laptop, I can do it on the run between shoots. It's great. The world's changing every day. So are my clients and their expectations. So no matter what's going on around me, DocuSign helps me capture that moment. It's fast, painless, reliable, and secure.
This is the RSN Sports Network. You're back to the Street Mental right here on the RSN Sports Network. 1-800-337-7171, 1-713-534-4231. It is the Street Mental right here on the RSN Sports Network. Have a little bit of camera issues here. Here we go. All right, it is the production crew with you right here on the RSN Sports Network and RTV Television with you. We're going to wait for Rihanna Henderson to come in as well. Thank you very much for joining us on this. It's kind of like the NFL wild card weekend. We'll talk about that afterwards. Rihanna will be coming in with us in just a minute or so. I am one of the production guys behind the Street Mental. If you have anything you want to ask Rihanna in this segment as well, do so as well. And don't forget that send your comments for the Street Mental to the Street_Mental on Twitter or Mind You Mental on Twitter as well. You also could go to their website at www.mindyoumental.net. All right. Was waiting for Rihanna. Just letting you know that coming up a little bit after this show is ended, they're going to actually have it's going to be the Sports Vet and Ree, and that's going to be Street and Sports. That is next, right after this show is ended. And in any event, while we're waiting on Rihanna, we're actually just also letting you know that we're going to keep up with the NFL as well going forward on this Wild Card Sunday as well. The Eagles are being handed to by the Buccaneers, and the Cowboys and 49ers are next. And later on this evening will be the excuse me, will be the Buccaneers. Will be the Eagles. No, Eagles, Steelers. There we go, and the Chiefs later on tonight on NBC as well. All right. While we're waiting for Rihanna to get in, we're actually glad to also let you know that this part of the Street Mental is brought to you by Mind You Mental. Mind You Mental, athletic and academic development. You can actually go to their website at www.mindyoumental.net. All right. So as we actually wait for Rihanna to come in as well for this one, and just make sure we can get her in also. So, and any questions that you may have had regarding this program, please reach out to us. You can actually reach out to us also. You can also reach out to us as well at Rebirth Media Networks at at the Reader Media Networks at gmail.com as well. All right. Waiting for Rihanna to get in. And she's coming in, and bringing Rihanna in just slowly here. And she's going to be coming in from her home in El Paso. As you probably know, Founders Weekend is this weekend. And we're going to be actually bringing her in as well. And hopefully we have her. Hopefully we have her. Yes, we have her. Oh my goodness, we have her for the first time ever. Rihanna Henderson, it is a new year. It is a Founders Day, and I don't know what else to say. Good afternoon, Rihanna.
Hello. Yes, it was Founders Day yesterday. So
Okay. Well,
celebrating the whole weekend.
I'll just say, just celebrate the whole weekend. Huh?
There we go.
If we can celebrate MLK Day, we will celebrate the whole weekend. Right?
We can too.
We can too. Okay. Now, what do you have for us on the Street Mental today?
So
waiting on you.
Oh yeah, well, because it's the beginning of the year, we're going to have to talk or chat about why goals fail. Because you hear it all the time in routines. When it becomes the beginning of the year, it's always a fresh start to set goals and New Year's resolutions. And what makes it inconsistent when individuals set a goal?
Okay. And as we said earlier, this part of the show is brought to you by Monumental Athletic and Academic Development. You can go to the website at www.monumental.net. It's all on you, Rihanna.
All right. Well, happy New Year's to everyone. I believe we're like 2 weeks in. We'll be approaching our third week. So that question is, when do you stop asking or sharing Happy New Year's? That's always been the question. When do you stop saying it? But we're into 2022, and from what I've been hearing a lot, you hear individuals say it's the year of 2022. It's the second year of 2020. And so going into this new year with hopes and dreams, similar to 2021 with hopes and dreams of, you're going to conquer certain goals, you're going to accomplish certain goals. And then we're still battling and fighting with the pandemic and COVID. And so going into 2022 is, what could you do differently than what you did in 2021? Now that we know that the spread is still happening, now that we know individuals who are vaccinated are still exposed and catching this virus, it shouldn't stop you from achieving the goals that you still want. However, it may just look a little different. And sometimes our motivation might also look a little different as we go along. But more specifically, what makes goals fail or not work is that you probably heard this before, but when goals are not specific. So oftentimes where we have a goal and we're not really specific or pinpointing exactly what it is that we want to accomplish, it's so ambiguous, it's so vague, where it's hard to measure whether we are succeeding that goal or we are accomplishing that goal. So when I challenge you, as you're thinking about things to accomplish in the year of 2022, think about how specific can you be? And I got my hands on this planner. I'm not sure if I could locate it, but I got my hands on a planner that was really detailed and specific about the goals. For an example, breaking down goals in different domains of your life. What does that mean? So you have your wellness goal, you have a physical goal, you have a mental goal, you even have a financial goal. So all of those categories are broken down into specific goals as opposed to one big clump, one big chunk of goals that is not specific enough.
Okay. So when we talk about it, and I know a lot of people are talking about losing weight and everything else when it comes down to, or gaining muscle or whatever their fitness goals are, whatever financial goals are. I'm going to say $5 more than I did in 2021 or 2020. What is it when the goals fail? I guess, when it seems like everybody, it's almost like, is it more so the expectations are being set too high when someone comes into a new year?
Yeah, that's actually, we're going to get into that too. where I'm alluding to the being able to measure. So when you are having a goal that's specific, it allows you to have the ability to measure that. Part of what you're talking about goes into the realistic. You want a goal that's realistic to you. You don't want to set a goal it's something that is not realistic. It's not within your capability. So you definitely want to establish something that you are capable of doing. Now, mind you, you have goals where if they're too easy, that also doesn't push you to do better, to be better, because they're really easy. But you want some goals or identify goals that are moderately difficult, something where it will take effort, it will take time, it will take patience, because then that will help sustain that motivation. But yes, absolutely. When they're not realistic to you, and that looks different for a lot of individuals. So what a goal somebody have for themselves, let's say to achieve their bachelor's degree. Well, somebody already achieved their bachelor's degree. So to them, it's like, well, I'm not on that goal specifically. I'm not an undergraduate. I am a graduate member, or I'm looking at my postdoc. So those things, the goal may be different for different people, depending on where they at and what they want to accomplish, but definitely want it to be realistic.
Okay. So say for instance, now we have a lot of, especially young people that are now graduated from college in, the December part. And so now they're actually looking at, their goals, or sometimes they're either, let's say either they want to be entrepreneurs, especially young women who are coming out of college, and or they're looking at, I want to be able to, get my first big job. And sometimes, there is a goal, but then there is almost like a crawl before you walk type of situation where it's like, you know what, I'm gonna work myself to that block. And is there something like you have to have more like a for goal planning in place? Is there kind of like a 5-year plan or a 10-year plan, or probably pretty much on the surface, just actually a 6-month plan, I guess, if you're thinking that from January to June?
Yeah, there are short-term goals and there are long-term goals. So as you are thinking about things you want to accomplish for the beginning of the year, you're also identifying short-term goals. And those short-term goals are, like you said, those are the small victories that you accomplish along the way. Those small victories allow you to accomplish the outcome goal, your long-term goal. So with those small victories, it's really important to, even though when they're small, they're minor, to celebrate them. That may look different for a lot of people. That might just give yourself a pat on the back, maybe go out to get ice cream, maybe give yourself a whole day to binge watch your favorite TV show. That's your reward. So as you progress with your long-term goals, in between the day-to-days, the week-to-week, the month-to-month, you are still accomplishing. And just like the example that you mentioned, it could be the small jobs, the opportunities that people get along the way that's going to help them get to their long-term goal overall. So even though it may not be something on a large scale, it is something that's the stepping stones, the moving blocks to get them to where they need to go. And that's still worth celebrating, even though it's not fully a goal that they accomplish at the moment, but because they are working towards something. And when you're able to celebrate those little successes, that also enhance, strengthen, and increase your motivation, because now you're tracking progress. Now you're able to see, I'm growing. And that's a great thing, especially when you have long-term goals. Let's say going to school, something's common, or losing weight. You don't see the little difference until the end of the results. But as you go along, hey, I lost 2 pounds this week, I lost 3 pounds. That's still accomplishment that equates to the overall long-term goal. And then when you have the short term and the long term and celebrating them, you also want to focus on something that is action focused, attainable. So as you are being specific with your goal, you're measuring your goal, you want it to also be something where it's attainable. So you're focusing on something that you can accomplish, something that's action focused, where you're actually doing the work as opposed to avoiding something.
Okay. And just to let you know, you're watching the first New Year version of the Street Mental. And the Street Mental, as always, is brought to you by Monumental Athletic and Academic Development. You can also always get uh, your your kids, or even for kids, for parents, for athletes, even for business people. Go to their website, www.monumental.net. And well, yeah, it's almost like with the goals, it's almost like you have goals. I mean, just like as we're talking about now for this weekend in the NFL, there are a lot of playoff games, and there are a lot of teams that are wanting that goal to go to your hometown in about 3 weeks to play in the Super Bowl. And there's goals. Everybody, they set goals, and athletes set goals, just like we, just regular, 9 to 5 people, or business people. We set goals as well. What is a
Absolutely.
good roadmap? Say, for instance, for just an actual young athlete who they're actually trying to, get to their goal of, what would you tell them in their off season, whether it be football, whether it be basketball or volleyball, and they're juniors coming up to be a senior? How would you tell them to approach their season?
Nice. So there is this concept that I kind of walk with athletes that I really love. It was designed, I believe, by Dr. Robin Bealey, and she walks through a goal map. And a goal map it's like a tree. It like starts big and then it goes down. And
Mhm.
so or it can go from the bottom like the roots and then go up as well. So depending on how you angle or you position the goal map. But what I like about it starts off with just big picture. So it starts off with, what is your purpose? Why are you playing the sport? Why are you engaging in this activity? What is your purpose overall? That
Mhm.
gives individuals an opportunity to see the big picture of, at the end of the day, whether I succeed or fail, my purpose is just to be the best person, the best player that I can be. Then it funnels down to your outcome goal. So now we're looking at, okay, here's your purpose. Now let's look at your outcome goal. And so
Mhm.
from there, we're now narrowing it down a little bit more specific to overall whatever goal it is or situation you're in, what is your outcome goal? And that is
Mhm.
just the intake. That is something that you want to end up doing. From there, you then have two categories called challenge goals. So challenge goals are, you're identifying goals that are challenging that could hinder you from achieving your outcome goal. And
Mhm.
ultimately that affects your purpose. So the challenge goal allows you to think of, what is something that is going to be challenging, difficult for me to achieve my outcome goal. So you
Mhm.
identify those two. And then underneath those challenge goals, you also have a skill. So this is kind of incorporating mental toughness skills where you're identifying a focus cue that can cue your brain back to the development of the challenge goal. And then at the end of it, it has where you have goal attainment strategies. So now we're looking at or diving into strategies that's going to help me achieve those challenge goals. So now you're
Okay.
looking at the day to day. Those are broken down into short term goals where we're looking at day to day goals, or even it could be a goal that's set for the week, for the month. And those
Mhm.
goal attainment strategies allow you to do better when it comes to those challenge goals within the focus cues, allow you to stay focused to perform better.
Okay. Now, what is it that because a lot of young athletes are now going through, uh, I guess, basketball season, which a
Mhm.
lot of them are going to graduate, long-term goals. What will be their long-term goal if they're an actual senior and this is their end of their season in basketball? uh, and now they're going to have to, would it been more, I guess, advantageous for them to actually try to start planning for, okay, if I'm not getting a basketball scholarship, what would be my backup goal?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And even if you don't label it as a backup goal, because sometimes athletes like there is no backup. There is no plan B, no plan C. Plan B is plan A. Plan C is plan A, And so even certain language kind of shuts down the athlete because that since they were a little kid was all that they knew. So when you are in a position where they are either high school or they are in that junior, senior, or even sophomore phase of their college, now it's looking at beyond. So what does it look like for you professionally, whether it's your sport or whether it is in the sport industry? So now you're getting them to kind of see the role of what do I play in the sport industry, or what do I play in the field of the sport, which will be basketball. So they can make that decision where, yes, I could see myself going professional, playing overseas, or they could say, you know what, I actually enjoy the managerial side of the sport. I actually enjoy the analysis, the analyst part of the sport. So then they can kind of make that decision. And again, that brings that autonomy that they are choosing the field that they want. They are making a choice about how they want to see themselves. And when you make that choice as an athlete, you have that autonomy, then you're more likely to get more investment than saying, this is what I think you should do. And now you have athletes in the field. Well, because I play the sport, we often know that because they play the sport for so many years, they become a coach. And they're like, well, I guess that's what I do. I was an athlete. I guess I'm going to be a coach. But not all good athletes are great coaches, and so.
I'll concur on that one. Oh, okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
And it's normal to think that because you know the game, but now you're in a different role. I know the game as an athlete, but do I know the game from a leadership standpoint? Do I know the game from a communication standpoint, from a leader aspect? And so those things, sometimes you don't get a roster full of leaders. You don't get a roster full of captains. So it's hard to step in and be that coach when you haven't spent adequate time leading other people, communicating with other people, and providing support and empathy. That could be very hard and challenging because if you never had that as an athlete, you may not know what that looks like to provide that to another. And so it's very important for letting those athletes really see and give them time to think about it. Like, hey, you don't have to make a decision now, but I really want you to visualize, to really think about where you see yourself. And even as a mental performance specialist is even providing where you see yourself in 15 years. So giving them a limit of, okay, you're here now, but where do you see yourself in 15 years? Prompting them to think about, I see myself doing this. Okay, now let's backtrack. And then that helps set up a great goal or a long-term goal for those athletes in those certain transitioning phases.
Okay. Before we go into the closing part of it, Rihanna, just letting you know, coming up next, it is Rihanna again with some old guy, and they'll be doing street sports. It is actually a tribute to Dr. Martin Luther King coming up at the bottom of the hour as well. All right. So as we go close toward the closing of your first Street Mentor for the year, let's go over that long-term, I'd say, goal plan, how to map those, how to do mapping as well, and how to actually stick with that goal plan.
Yeah. So lastly, you definitely want to make a goal that's specific. We talked a little bit about that. You want to make sure that you can measure that because that helps or assists with those small victories. In addition to that, you want it to be action or attainable, making sure that the goal is something that you're focusing on doing as opposed to you're trying to avoid. Then you want it to be realistic. You want to make sure it's something that you can do, something that you're capable of, and you can accomplish with some time and effort. And then that leads to the last one, which is that time bound, adding a time frame. So when we're talking about individuals who prolong their goal or procrastinate, because oftentimes they may not have a time limit for themselves. So it gives them nothing to hold themselves accountable. So if I have a goal that's not specific, and I have no time frame to it, then yes, I can push it back 3 months from now. I can push it back 6 months from now, and it'll slowly be, well, I'll get to it when I'm ready. And so then you realize, dang, whew, we have 4 more months, 2 more months into the year, and I haven't even filled out a college application. So being able to hold yourself accountable and adding the time bound. When we talk about that goal mapping, sitting down to identify your purpose. What is your what is your role in life? What is your purpose in life? What are you out to provide or do in general? Breaking it down and say, okay, that's my overall purpose. What is my outcome goal? Because that purpose will and can root you into accomplishing those outcome goals when you are not in the mood, when you're not motivated, when you don't feel confident. You can always go back to that purpose. And yes, there's going to be some bumps in the road. There's going to be challenges. Life happens. There's going to be things that may set you back. So now let's figure out what are those challenging areas that's going to hinder you? What are some growth areas in that case? If you don't like the word challenge, but what are growth areas and where you can grow that's going to make you better? And then lastly, how are you going to do that? So how are you going to hit the gas? How are you going to attain those goals, whether it's a short-term goal or whether it's looking at something you can do on a day-to-day basis to help you get there? And hopefully you'll be able to see more motivation. You start to feel a little bit more energized along the way because now you have a plan in place.
Okay. Before we get out of here, first of all, Rihanna, we want to thank you also for bringing this Street Mental on because, as you probably know, we didn't get a chance to tell you that on the air with your show. You were the best new for the Party Award. You were the best new show of 2021. That's first. Second place, happy anniversary to you because you've been on doing podcasts for 2 years now. And yeah, 2 years. Happy anniversary.
It has.
Happy anniversary to you. So we've been doing podcasts for 2 years. Just wanted to let you guys know also as well, if you wanted to reach out to Rihanna as well, if you want to, you can actually send your comments to via Twitter to the street_mental or monumental on Twitter. So you can always send your thoughts there. Rihanna, another amazing show, the first amazing show of the year, the Founders Show. I need to order one for old people. Rihanna, thank you very much for joining us and really getting some good insight as always with the Street Mental. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
No
Bye,
problem.
everyone. Take care.
All right. And thank you very much for joining us on the Street Mental. That is going to do it for this part of our show. Don't forget, at the bottom of the hour, it is Street and Sports right here on the RSN Sports Network. Until then, we'll see you next week on the Street Mental. You've been listening to the Street Mental right here on the RSN Sports Network. This is the RSN Sports Network, RTV Television. Coming up next, it is Street Sports, the special Martin Luther King Day edition.